Hey everyone. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the source page. In one of the newest updates, they added machines. And if you press function source, then you'll notice that there's 4 different machines here. So what these machines are basically a set of parameters in the source page that are specifically tailored to fit different purposes. Now, prior to the 1.5 update, you only had one shot. That's the default source page. It's the one that shows up when you start your Digitakt, and when you initialize a pattern or a project, you're in one shot mode. You're using the one shot machine. So that's what we're going to focus on today. I'm going to do separate videos for warp, repitch, and slice. So Electron named this the one shot machine, and that's because it works really well with one shots. What I mean by one shots are short snippets of audio. So as I've said before, the Electron doesn't have its own voice. It doesn't generate sounds. It plays back samples. So for each track, you have to choose what sound it's going to play and then sculpt it using its features and then tell the Electron how to play it back. So this source page is where it all starts. This is where you tell the Electron what it needs to play. If we start up here in the upper right hand corner, we see that the parameter that's assigned to the D data entry node is called samp, which is sample. And if you turn that knob, you can find your entire sample bank for the project. This is the presets project. And notice there's a ton of empty slots. Every project can hold up to 127 samples. And the presets have about 81. Now, all of your samples can be found in the plus drive, and they can be shared across patterns. So that's what that knob does. Let's take a look at all the other parameters and kind of pick them apart. We'll start with the simpler ones. The level parameter in the lower right-hand corner obviously tells the amplitude or how loud that sample is going to be going through. The tune will tell you how it's tuned. BR is bit rate, and that's controlled by data entry knob C. Now, bit rate reduction is kind of lowering a sample quality, but it serves in this purpose almost like an audio effect. It's kind of like a distortion. If you press the source knob again, you can actually see your little snippet of audio. Let's focus on the snare drum for a second. It's playing forward, and you can see that by data entry knob B. You can also set it to play in reverse. I'll get to the looping functions in a second. Right now we're back at forward. On the bottom, you'll see that we can choose where we start playback of the little audio piece. And every time it's triggered, depending on how the amp settings are, it'll play the entire bit of audio. And we can choose how long or short that is with the length. Now, if we look at this looping function, notice how it doesn't do anything? And that's because the play mode has to be activated in a loop form. So we have forward and reverse, which are not looping forms. But if we turn it to forward looping, then it'll continually loop back as long as we're holding down the trigger. And I'll get more into that in a second too. But let's take a look at how the loop function works. We can choose where the looping will start. You can make some interesting audio effects. So how looping basically works is every time there's a trigger, it starts at the beginning, it passes the loop line, goes to the end, and then continually loops from where the loop line is. Now, if we set it to reverse, it acts a little bit differently. It never makes it back to the start. It just goes from the end to the loop line. Let's just take a quick look at some other sources. Sometimes it's easier to work with audio sources like this, but what if we changed it to a saw wave? Notice how then there's no real sound, it's just a snap. And if we look at it, that's because this little bit of audio is so tiny, it's just one wave in an audio rate signal. So in order to get that to sound, you're going to have to loop it. There's a ton of audio rate samples preloaded in the Digitakt, and they are awesome sound sources for you to sculpt and make into really cool sounds. When we get into the filter section and the amp section, we'll talk more about how we can turn this into a really great sounding bass sound. But that's the nuts and bolts of the one-shot machine, which is your default source page. It's pretty straightforward, but it's also just the foundation to picking sounds. So I hope you like this video. Once again, thanks to Perfect Circuit for sponsoring this video series. I put affiliate links in the descriptions of all my videos, so go ahead and check that stuff out. Buying through those links is a great way to support my channel at no additional cost to you. In the next few videos, I'm going to go over the filter section, the amp section, and the trig function in the trig page. I've still got a whole lot of videos planned for the Digitakt, so make sure you like and subscribe below so you don't miss a thing. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.